Hello, everybody. Welcome to another segment of our virtual TrackTown Tuesday. I'm thrilled to welcome Nikki Hiltz. How are you, Nikki?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good. Now, where are you? The fan is running, so I'm taking it somewhere warm.
Yes, I'm in San Diego, California. It's like been so hot the past few days. It's like 80
It
degrees.
does. I know. I lived at the Olympic Training Center for 4 years, so it was nice to travel during that time of year. So you didn't have to be there when it was quite so hot. But this is a different kind of year, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, so I mean, you're no stranger to Tracktown. You obviously had an opportunity to race here quite a bit when you were in college. You started out at Oregon and transitioned on to Arkansas, where you were really a staple of the women's 1500 meters.
Yeah, no, I loved spending my first 2 years in Oregon, and Hayward Field just is an honor to race there every time. And even when I transferred to Arkansas, I feel like I was welcomed back with open arms. So yeah,
Yeah, we
it
were
was.
definitely glad to see you, and we were glad to see you do so well. In 2018, the year you graduated, you finished second in the 1500 NCAAs.
Yeah, I did, and second to Jess Hull, who was an Oregon athlete. So I think
Yeah.
the field was pretty happy that the Oregon athlete got the win. But no, it was
Well,
awesome to kind of come full circle and finish my career where it started.
yeah, it was definitely the culmination of a career that really grew in an upward trajectory. And then you graduated in 2018 and hopped onto the professional circuit in 2019, a year that had two major championships to participate in which you did really, really strong in both. In Lima, Peru, the Pan American Championships, you came away with a gold medal. And then you doubled back and you came back from August to October to race in another major championship. And not only did you compete there, but you PR'd and you made the final. How was that going from Lima to Doha as far as the way that you prepared and approached having to do, two major championships after um, finishing the season, finishing a collegiate season previously?
Yeah, it was definitely a very fun first year of a pro. I got to experience a lot, and Peru was an amazing experience, and I was just riding this high because a week earlier I had qualified for Worlds, and yeah, it was just awesome to win that race and bring home a medal for the U.S. And then yeah, I think that just kind of I was riding that momentum into Worlds, and yeah, my main goal at Worlds was to make the final. I really wanted
Right.
three Americans in that 1500 final, and there was no doubt in my mind that Shelby and Jenny weren't going to make it, so it was kind of all up to me. So yeah, it was a great experience, and yeah, great year.
Yeah, and I mentioned you PR'd in that semi. Do you feel like you gained confidence coming off of that gold medal win in Lima, going into the rounds at Doha, just to say, you know what, I know what it is to feel prepared, and I'm going to go and race my race and do what it takes to make it into that final?
Yeah, definitely. I think it was kind of like I had all these tools in my toolbox, and I had kind of seen it all. And yeah, I think definitely that race in Peru gave me a lot of confidence, and just to race an international field. And yeah, so I was just, yeah, that semifinal was crazy. And I didn't know what shape I was in. I think I was in about 401 shape, and
Mhm.
I ran 401 to make the finals. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing you had it in the tank. And chances are, if you needed to run a little bit faster to make the final, you probably could have done that too. It's
Yeah.
amazing what those championship races can bring out of us.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially when you have your country on your chest. It's like all of a sudden you're running for something so much bigger than just yourself. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that's one of the things going into Doha, that was a concern. Speaking of much bigger than yourself, was just kind of a lot of the conversation that existed amongst athletes about going to a major championship in a country that doesn't have a reputation for a lot of tolerance. At that time, you really became a visible voice of athletes, of LGBT concerns and interests going in there. Is that a decision you made to kind of become an advocate in that way, or were you just kind of expressing your personal views and opinions and being gracious enough to share it with all of us?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of talk about what was going to be tolerated, and I just remember crossing the line at USA's and getting third, and, you know, realizing I made the world team, which is like a childhood dream come true. And
Yeah.
obviously one of the first thoughts was excitement and joy, but I mean, I think a very close second thought was like fear. And I was like, okay,
Mm.
I'm going to this country where homosexuality is illegal, and like I don't know what that looks like, and I'm, you know,
Mm-hmm.
out and proud. And so yeah, there was definitely this kind of fear going into it, but I think there was so many times last year or even before that where I could have, I could have stayed in the closet, and I could have, or just kept that part of my life private, but that's never
Mm-hmm.
been me. And I just, I think I needed to just continue. In order for me to run well, I need to be my open and honest self. And so
Yeah.
there was not really a doubt in my mind whether I was going to shy away from that, even
Right.
in a country like Doha. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that was kind of my decision on it.
And it's interesting in a sport that is co-ed, right? And we really pride ourselves on being very accessible and low barriers to entry. We have really high participation numbers. And yet, you've really shown as a voice for LGBT concerns. Are you hoping, and have you encountered points of really inspiring other athletes, younger athletes, to understand that they can, both pursue obviously great athletic endeavors and be their authentic selves? I mean, is this something that's kind of part of your outreach and part of the community that you've drawn to yourself, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's something that I definitely don't take lightly. And I don't want to say like I have a responsibility to. It's more like I have this opportunity to,
Mm-hmm.
impact people or inspire
Yeah.
people, whatever you want to use. But yeah, there definitely has been multiple times where, someone will come up to me and be, I remember this coach one time, she was coaching in like the South, and she comes up to me and she's like, like I am a closeted member of the community, and like I think like seeing your story and seeing how open and honest you are, she's like, I think I need to come out to my team, because who knows,
Wow.
maybe there's like a kid on my squad that is also closeted and they need me. And it was just like, wow, okay, I'm,
Yeah.
it was just like this weird, I feel like she was telling me how like she was inspired by me, but then from that whole story, like I was then inspired by her. So I
Right.
think inspiration is a two-way street, and
Right.
it's something that I think has really allowed like my running to succeed, just to have all this confidence. And yeah, I don't know.
And to be doing it for something that's greater than yourself, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. And so one of the ways in which you're doing that and giving back both to the running community and to the Pride community is through an upcoming race that your track club is sponsoring, the Golden Coast Pride race, Pride 5K, right?
Yes.
is coming up next month. Tell us a little bit about what the thought behind that, and what made you decide to do it this month.
Yeah, so I feel like last year one of my main goals was to just kind of be seen and put myself out there. And I know the power that visibility can have, and just like,
Right.
oh, seeing, okay, like she can be out
Mm-hmm.
and proud, so can I. And I think this year I just wanted to, that's like us as athletes who just trying to be better each year, or how can we progress further. And so
Right.
this year it's like, okay, I want to take it a step further, and I want to
Mm-hmm.
really use my platform to help and reach as many people as possible. And so I decided I wanted to give back to my community and kind of find a way to bridge the gap between my running community and then also my LGBTQ one.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I mean, with everything going on with COVID, it was like, okay, I think I could put on a virtual race and have the proceeds go to an LGBTQ organization. And for me, that
Yeah.
was one of my favorite ones is the Trevor Project, because they're just the leading national organization in crisis intervention and helping
Mm-hmm.
prevent, suicidal LGBTQ youth. And that's just like really like, it's close to my heart. And so yeah, I'm working with my track club, and we kind of threw it together last minute, but we wanted to do it in June. It's Pride Month. So the last Sunday in June, basically, people are going to run a 5K wherever they're at, and registration, all the proceeds go to the Trevor Project. And
That's amazing.
So that's kind of like the gist.
Yeah. And it's actually really timely. I think, ironically, there's probably more people running and working out now
Yeah.
than before we went into COVID, right? Because now we've got a little bit extra time to build our schedules around it. I know for me, it's definitely true. Now that the weather's nice here in Oregon, it's definitely nice not only to get out and run, but through this race that you guys are putting on, get out and run for a purpose.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's kind of like, so everyone in my running community, everyone's races are getting canceled. And so they're like, okay, I need something to get me excited. And then in the other way, in the other community, all the pride parades and festivals, those are getting,
Yeah.
so it's kind of this like, oh, it's a race and like a big party. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah.
And who could resist? Like, that's the best of both worlds, right? It's like a runner's dream. So tell everyone how they can sign up and how they can donate even if they haven't gotten themselves into running shape during quarantine, how they can still give back to such the wonderful work that the Trevor Project does.
Yeah, so we have set up a fundraising page via the Trevor Project, and
Okay.
yeah, I think there'll be a link in here where you can click that
Yeah.
and donate directly to the Trevor Project. You can also still sign up for the race, and it's $35, and you also get a training program. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, we're like 5 weeks out. So yeah, just like kind of something to structure you and get you out the door, and it's just like good to follow a schedule.
Yeah.
And there's also, it's a very holistic approach. There's drills, there's strength training, there's like in the training program that you get, and then there's also cooking videos and mindfulness tips. So it's kind of,
Oh.
yeah, it's a way to like get people who maybe weren't runners to start running, and then also start doing all the other things that runners do. So yeah, but if you don't have $35 or you want to give more, then we definitely have a donate more button that actually just got set up. So it's exciting.
That's awesome. And we're going to link all of that information here on our site and through our social media so that everyone who wants to can get involved and can participate and support you guys and the Trevor Project and really come together like as a community. I mean, it sounds like a lot of this has been built. And that's the cool thing about these additional things you guys have added to the package, that it's one thing to be out there and kind of doing things on your own, but to know that there's a little bit of guidance, a little bit of structure, and a whole lot of other people out there doing the same thing as you, that builds community.
Oh, definitely. And that was one of the main goals behind it, was, to show these LGBTQ youth that there are so many people that see them and value them and are going to come together and walk or run or just train for you. And yeah, that they're just like to let them know that they're never alone. Was a huge part of it for me.
That's incredible. And you are a huge inspiration to youth like that, especially ones who are interested in pursuing sport and following sport at a higher level. You mentioned races getting canceled this year, which all of us are feeling and missing. I wondered kind of how you guys are approaching, the potential of a season when there's really not any certainty there.
Yeah, I think I've definitely kind of shifted my mindset to, have new goals, and this race has been a big part of that. But yeah, I think now things are starting to open up. I don't want to get my hopes too high. But, it's so crazy. I've been running and training, and it's just at this point, it's just kind of like a habit, I get out the door and train, and I'd be doing this races or not. So
yeah, that's the thing. I was talking to Hannah Green and some of the other OTCE athletes. This really isn't that different of a lifestyle for runners, right? I mean, we don't go many places anyway, other than, weight room, training, grocery store. So this is kind of welcome to the lifestyle that is ours, right?
Exactly. We quarantine ourselves all the time anyway.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's a commitment to self-quarantine.
Yes.
Well, that's incredible. I mean, I'm really, really grateful to you for being the advocate that you've become, and for being visible, and for being an inspiration just by being, right? Whether or not you choose to speak or get involved with different things that you have, just letting us get to know you and being yourself and showing others, especially youth, that they can be themselves is really, really powerful. And we need it, especially in a sport that does have such high numbers of participation and that is so accessible to everyone and anyone of any background or ability. So I'm happy to have you as part of our running community and part of our TrackTown community. And we are thrilled to be able to support you and the work that you're doing. So thank you very much for being here. And we look forward to getting out there and doing that 5K. Do you have any goals? Are you aiming for anything in this?
Well, thank you so much. That was very sweet. But yeah, I'm really not a 5K runner. I run the 15 and 800. But I was talking about it the other day with my teammate. I was like, the only time you will catch me running a 5K is for the day. So
yes. It's for a good cause, right?
So I actually do have a goal. I'm gonna run the race, and I want a PR in the 5K. My 5K PR is like 16:30, so I think it's definitely doable.
Yeah.
That's kind of my goal and how I'm getting excited for the race.
Well, you PR'd in the 8 and the 15 last year, so why not? You're due for a good 5K PR, right?
Exactly. Maybe I'll just pick my course. We'll be like all downhill.
Right, exactly. We'll never know. Don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for being with us, Nikki, and we look forward to seeing you later in June.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is great.